What's up, everybody? Today I'm talking to one of the top mixed martial artists, pound for pound, in the entire United States. She's a veteran of Invicta FC, and she was also featured on season 30 of The Ultimate Fighter. Later this week, she's going to be headlining the PFL Challenger Series. She joins me today, Miss Kaytlin Neil. Kaytlin, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It is an absolute pleasure, and I wanted to hit on your last performance. It was against Hannah Guy. Hannah Guy, for people who don't know who she is, a pit bull. She's going to come at you. She's relentless. She's super aggressive. She's super violent. You put on a 15-minute clinic. It was the best performance I've ever seen out of you. I'd love to get your thoughts on a tough matchup against a tough opponent.
Yeah, there's multiple times in that fight where most people would have quit or like thrown in the towel, and Hannah kept coming. And there was a point in the fight where I'm like, how is she still moving forward? I'm like, what the heck? So I have a lot of respect for Hannah after that fight. But yeah, I'm just glad that I was like on my game that night. I felt really good, and I think I put on my best performance yet.
I know that it's one of those things where you should have gotten a TKO, like against any person, any other person you would have. But there was a point in the fight where you inflicted so much damage to her torso that her guard is dropping so much, and she's obviously hurt, and she's like swinging at you with like one arm, and you had to have been thinking to yourself like, what more do I have to do against this girl?
I was so like, are you kidding me? Like, how is she not like, how is she still standing? And then she like shoots in for like a takedown just to like save herself. I'm like, holy crap, like she is tough.
She is absolutely tough. Kaytlin, after that fight, like did you kind of like give yourself some time to like soak it in for what it was? It was a huge victory against a really tough opponent. And I asked that question because did you and your management, your coaches, did you feel like you were on the cusp of something special? Did you feel like people were going to take notice of that and that was going to lead to other opportunities?
Well, I knew I was on the brink of something big or getting signed into like a big promotion. So I just wanted to go in there and put on the best performance yet. So I knew like there was a lot of pressure for me on that fight. And I felt that. And so I think that's why I did put on that big performance. But as far as like what came from it, it's awesome that I got signed with PFL and like hopefully getting put into $1 million tournament. That's huge for my career. I've been paying to fight basically up until this point. So it'll be awesome to like make some money now.
Hey, you've paid your dues, and there's a reason why I wanted to interview you, and it had nothing really to do with your latest accolades, as impressive as they were. I wanted to talk to you because I have a lot of fighters that are amateurs that are like young at this game, like, and maybe their career hadn't started off the best. They're two, three, four fights in the hole. And I think of you, I think of somebody who didn't have the best start in their career. There was probably a time when people close to you are like, is this really for you? Like, have you thought about maybe doing something else? But you dug out of that hole and you've gone on to achieve great things in the sport. But I want to go back to like 2016, 2017, that period of time when you're in the hole, things aren't going right. Like, what motivated you to climb out? What are the things that you told yourself? And what is it important for fighters that maybe didn't get off to the best start in their career? What's an important lesson that they could learn from your story?
Yeah, so I went 1-3 in my first four fights, and that was like so embarrassing because everyone knew me as a cheerleader. I'm like, this cheerleader sucks at fighting. Like, why is she even doing it? And then I won a couple fights after that, and then so my record was 4-4. And then I had back-to-back knee surgeries, and I was like late 20s at this point, and everyone's like, you should just like quit, like give up. Like, why are you doing this?
Right.
Like, like that was like one of the hardest things for me to like actually push through. And I'm like, no, I don't care what anybody else says. I'm doing this for me. I do it because I enjoy it. I like have fun doing it. And it's like all for like the joy that I get out of this. And so I pushed through that and I came out. I'm 5-1 in my last six fights, and that one being like a split decision. So it's like I'm definitely on the up and up. I knew I could do it. I believed in myself, and my coaches actually really believed in me too. So it was nice having them around me being like, Kaytlin, we know you're an awesome fighter. We know you're good. We know you can make it. we just need you to like put your performance like together in the cage, because they saw what I was doing at practice, but it wasn't really translating into the cage. And so yeah, it was kind of nice to have their support and their belief in me when I was like solo.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think there's a story there where it's like, sometimes things don't always go according to plan, but you stuck with it and you've ascended to a level in MMA. I know there's a lot more ahead, but you've ascended to a point where not a lot of people get to. But a good chunk of that, yes, it was talent, but it had to do with you being kind of maybe stubborn is the best word, to just kind of stick at this and be
Yeah.
persistent. I think that's important, to never give up, because you never know what you can really achieve if you keep at it.
Yeah, I always say like I'm either really like resilient for pushing forward or too dumb to quit. So I don't know. Either one, depending on the day.
Hey, you know what? I think a lot of people could identify with that. I specifically I want to shift gears now. I want to talk about this matchup. There's a lot that's been going on, a lot of lineup changes. Some gals have had to drop off the card, and you were impacted by this. You were in the co-main, now you're in the main event. You're supposed to fight one opponent. Now you're getting in a Corginus, a totally different gal that you probably weren't preparing for. She's like roughly the same size as you are, and you're probably thinking like, okay, I'm going to have another Hannah Guy type to get ready for. So stylistically, your opponents, like, there's been a lot of chaos over the past few days for you. Like, how have you been managing not only going into the headlining spot, but the new opponents? Has that been stressful at all?
I mean, I probably should have been the main event from the beginning. No, I love being like the main event. Like I'm pretty used to being like co-main main event just because I'm like a girl, and so they push me up to the top of the card. And so like I'm happy with that. I love the pressure of that. People are coming to like watch you, so that's fun for me. I love to perform, and then as far as the opponent switches go, I think going through the Ultimate Fighter really prepared me for that. Like you find out who you're fighting just like a few days before, and then you have like a couple days to prepare, and then you're fighting them. So I think like just like opponent switches, like injuries, like whatever pops up, I'm just like, okay, whatever. We can just like push through it and get through it, and then like whatever happens, happens. So I think just being able to handle that, like it's kind of more easy for me to handle ever since doing the Ultimate Fighter, because there were so many weird things like out of your control that were pushed onto you.
Yeah, that actually makes total sense. One of the things that I was looking at when I saw your new opponent got announced, she's tough. I've seen her fight before. She's really good at jiu-jitsu. Stylistically, I think Dakota is somewhat similar to you. You guys both kind of remind me of that Muay Thai kind of base. You're going to throw a lot of kicks. You probably don't want to get clinched up by somebody like you, because that's not going to go over very well. Like, I see you two, and I see some like similarities there. Catherine, like, she had a rough go her last go around. What were your thoughts? Like, did you get an opportunity to watch her fight against Dakota? Did that kind of give you any sort of insight?
Yeah, I watched a lot of like I watched all of her fights, and then like her fight against Dakota. I think I do like I thought the same thing. Like I fight pretty similarly to Dakota, so I think that will be like a similar game plan. But I'm also like really good on the ground too, so it's not like I'm like a pushover.
Sure.
So I'm like I'm happy if it goes to the ground. I'm happy if it stays standing. I think I'll be able to like beat her anywhere. But yeah, I mean, she's probably a tougher matchup than my last opponent, and I saw that. Like, that's okay. But she's also very similar to Hannah Guy. But I think her striking might be a little bit more aggressive than Hannah was. So I'm hoping it will be like a similar performance to how I was with Hannah.
I do agree. I do think the matchup got a little bit more difficult, but you win this fight, it makes it that much easier for you to like get that contract, because of you're up in the stakes. You're getting a tougher opponent. It's easier to make that case. I have one final question for you, and it's simply this: what is it that you need to do in order to get a PFL contract in your mind on Friday night?
I got to put on a good performance, get a finish, whatever that is, just do something impressive, win the hearts of the judges and the fans. And I think I got it.
I think so too, Kaytlin. I really appreciate your time. You're a very exciting fighter to watch. I wish you the best of luck. I wanted to give you an opportunity if you have people you need to thank, if they're like sponsors or companies that support you and you'd like to talk about them. I'd like you to have that chance before I let you go.
Of course, thank you to everyone at Syndicate Martial Arts, John Wood, my head coach, and then my team in Utah at Gima Jiu Jitsu. Also, Century Martial Arts for being in my corner for years now. They also sponsor the PFL, which is really cool. So I think that's a good match for me. And yeah, I think Kiava Clothing and Frey Skincare. Thank you guys for always being in my corner and helping me be able to do what I do.
Miss Neil, thank you so much for your time. It was a real treat, and I hope to have you back very, very soon.
All right. Thank you.